Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Delivering Reliable Mobile Experiences Through Elevated Quality, hosted by HeadSpin, Tricentis, and Wipro. In today's webinar, we will cover our partnership as well as showcase a joint offering that we have developed to allow testing teams to deliver high-quality mobile applications. If we could go to the next slide. Thank you. Today we have Sudhir Mohan, who is a practice head for mobile applications testing practice at Wipro. We also have Eric Elkins, who leads the global pre-sales efforts for Tricentis. And I also have Rajiv Ranjan, who's responsible for driving channel partnerships globally and enabling enterprise solutions for customers at HeadSpin. If we could go to the next slide. Thank you. Sudhir will first cover the joint solution introduction. Eric will then walk us through Tricentis Tosca. Rajiv will talk about HeadSpin application or capabilities. Then we will show the solution in action. And finally, Sudhir will focus on the joint value proposition of the solution. Now, before we get started, I would like to just go over a few housekeeping items. This webinar is being recorded and will be shared with you all following this event. And if you have any questions for our presenters during the webinar, please submit those in the Q&A box below. We'll try our best to answer as many as we can at the end, or we will email you with the response. Now with that, it is now my pleasure to pass it over to Sudhir, who will take this forward.
Thank you, Sharon. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you who are attending this webinar. Welcome to this conversation. As we spoke about the webinar topic, we are focusing on mobile, how we can deliver better value for mobile testing and deliver reliable mobile experiences to customers worldwide. So you saw in this pandemic as a trigger point, and the adoption of mobile applications increased like anything, be it an OTT app that we use to watch a movie or a favorite series, be it an education app that we are using, be it the very Zoom that we are using for this webinar, and many other unified communication solutions, or be it the payment wallets that we started using like at a much higher rate. The way we use mobile applications have changed in last 2 years in a significant way for a lot of people, and a lot of people started doing their first use case for mobile in last 2 years. So here we are presenting a collaborative solution between Wipro, Tricentis, and HeadSpin. As some of you might be aware, Tricentis and HeadSpin are two Wipro Ventures investments, and we work very closely to deliver better value to our customers in multiple engagements. And these two startups in which we have partnered with have come together to deliver a collaborative solution, which will really change the way we deliver mobile applications to our customers. So with this solution, certain key points that I want to highlight here is with the solution, the following things are made possible. The first is from the HeadSpin side, the remote access to real devices and worldwide. So we can literally have a device in any country. We already use it in almost all continents that we work in. It also gives you the AI platform from the HeadSpin platform will give you the capability to evaluate the user experience and performance on the end user device when your app is getting executed. It gives you a beautiful AI analytics, which gives you recommendations on possible areas of improvement, which is more value to the engineering team. From the Wipro point of view, we bring in the role of the service integrator and service provider who leverages these platforms and deliver value to our customers in terms of automation, in terms of functional testing, in terms of performance analysis, which is we have an automation first solution, which is a DevOps integrated automation framework that we use. And in addition to that, we use AI-based accelerators like NLP-based suit optimizers, as well as auto failure analysis bots that we use. And from the Tricentis side, which is a significant portion of the solution, we bring in the power of codeless automation, and the entire platform for testing for an enterprise, be it the test data and environment provisioning or end-to-end automation at UI, API, and data layer, all that is brought in by Tricentis. So together, we are trying to accelerate the releases while elevating the quality. So for this, we are bringing in, obviously, we are bringing in the end-to-end automation for faster adoption and faster turnaround of functional testing. In this particular journey, the endpoint automation, which is the automation on mobile devices and tablets and even some custom devices based on Android, is powered by HeadSpin. The automation framework is provided by Tricentis, and adoption accelerators like a framework, like the tying pieces for this, like you'll see how we have integrated a visualization dashboard in the demo. All that is brought by Wipro, and we are using data to provide actionable insights at the end of functional testing. So there are two things that we are trying to achieve here. We are trying to achieve velocity for our testing, and we are trying to derive more value from post-execution phase from the quality engineering perspective. So all this is seamlessly integrated, and it works with CI/CD environments. And also we have API-based integrations for reporting, for framework connectivity, all that you will see how it works, how we bring in reports back to the central console and all that. This is what we are going to showcase to you today. And the takeaway is how you can accelerate or improve your test velocity or release velocity while elevating the quality and deriving more value from post-test phase. With that, I hand over to my colleague in Tricentis to talk about the Tricentis piece of this conversation. Over to you.
Thank you very much. My name is Eric Elkins. I run the pre-sales team here at Tricentis. And I want to talk to you for a little bit about Tosca, which is our model-based test automation tool. So in looking at the overall partnership here, we're going to spend a couple of slides and have a quick conversation about how to focus on that building of the automated test piece. And that's what we're going to use Tosca to do. So really the critical capabilities of Tosca is going to be that it's easy to use. You can take a manual tester inside of your organization and turn them into what we would call an automation specialist. And you can really drive automation across all of the applications within your organizations. So if you think of traditional testing tools, that could be manual testing, that could be record and playback tools or test automation frameworks. All of those have provided a bunch of challenges in testing and building automation and have been hard to use in the past. Our customers that are using Tosca are able to build effective automation very quickly and overall get better quality in their applications. So we're going to talk a little bit about how we do that, how we test smarter and not harder. We can go to the next slide. So one of the major things that Tosca is going to focus on is it's not going to be a point solution. It's not just a solution to test your mobile applications or just a solution to test your mainframe or legacy applications within the organization, but it's really a tool that can focus on all of those different things. So if you're a mainframe developer, that's been working inside of the organization for a super long time, you can learn how to automate that mainframe application, and you can take those skills and translate that, to automating a mobile application or automating non-UI applications like APIs or databases and things of that nature. And this slide is a bit of an eye chart, but really what it's trying to illustrate to you is the fact that Tosca is going to work across all of these different applications inside of your organization, which as we get further on in this webinar, you're going to start to understand is much more important than just focusing on mobile alone. And we can go ahead and move to the next slide. So talking a little bit about how Tosca automates applications and what the general approach to automation is. The first thing that we do is when you open up Tosca, you can scan your applications under test. So today we're spending a lot of time talking about mobile, but this is also going to apply for any other applications that you have. When looking at mobile application, we would scan that mobile application, whether it's an iOS or an Android application, and we would understand the different objects and properties inside of that part of the application. So you think of a login screen, right? You've got the username input box, the password input box, the login button, the I forgot my password link, and the register new user link. We capture all of that stuff and we store it inside of what we call a model. You can use that model then to start to construct your test cases or your user flows. So maybe it's something as simple as logging in. I just need to input some data into those boxes, hit the login button, and that's just my test case right there. Or maybe it's something as complicated as an entire order to cash process or an entire hire to retire process, where you're working across the entire application. You need to carry data not only from the login page, but also to the account information page, to the backend, things of that nature, right? So you use those models to construct those user flows. And once you have those user flows or test cases, that's really your automation. So you can input data, for a single run, you can data drive it. There's a lot of effective ways inside of Tosca that we can help drive that data to your test cases. And then ultimately, you're going to want to execute that automation. And you could execute it, just on your machine that you're building on, or in reality, what you're going to want to do is focus on scaling that automation. How do I execute this against multiple different endpoints? So inside of Tosca, we can focus on automating across all of those endpoints through distributed execution. And really what we'll get to later on is the best way to scale that out for mobile in particular is to use a device cloud provider. So using HeadSpin, as the endpoint to run all of my automation to, and also as the entry point. How do I scan and build my automation? I can also use HeadSpin, to provide those devices. And we can move to the next slide. So while we have a major focus today on mobile testing, and that's really the entire user journey of your customer is going to be inside of your mobile app. They're going to work within their mobile app to register as a user. They're going to work within your mobile app to do all of their transactions and run all of their business. Maybe they jump out of your application to go to their email, for something that you send them, or like two-factor authentication. But really, your customer journey inside of your organization touches all kinds of different applications. When they register as a user, you need to verify that they've been put inside of a database. You have different customer onboarding tools, like Marketo and things like that inside of Salesforce that are driving customer adoption and are driving customer retention. You need to make sure that they're in those drip marketing campaigns. There may be a back-end batch process that needs to be triggered for all the new users registered to be enrolled in something. So you can see that the journey is not just the mobile phone. And if we just focus on, hey, our mobile application works, all that back-end process isn't important to us, we're missing a huge piece of the quality of our applications that we're putting out. So you really need to focus on a test automation platform and a way to do your testing that focuses on this entire user journey. Because until everything's living on a mobile device, we're still going to have to work with all of these legacy applications and also these new modern applications. We can go ahead and move to the next slide. And so how Tosca itself is going to connect to a mobile device is really through using Appium. We use Appium as a driver to connect to local devices. If I want to plug a device into my laptop, I can do that. But what you'll quickly start to find is that is very challenging to scale. So maybe I've got some devices that are sitting in a drawer on my desk. I have another colleague who comes over and says, hey, do you have a Galaxy S5? I really need to test a bug we think that we found on that. I have to loan out that Galaxy S5. I never see it again, right? So how do we take that general idea and scale up to be able to not only build our test automation, but execute our test automation? And that's where it comes in using Appium to connect to HeadSpin. And HeadSpin is really going to provide for you all of those devices, all of the different configurations of them, and take it even one level further to provide you a bunch of data about what's going on your devices, so that you can make better decisions about what you should be testing and what you should be building automation for and what your customers are actually experiencing. And with that, I will pass over to Rajiv.
Thanks, Eric. Hello, everyone. I'm Rajiv. I'm the Senior Director of Solutions and Partnerships with HeadSpin. So talking about HeadSpin, HeadSpin is widely used by enterprise clients for application experience validation at the edge. And we talk about multiple kind of endpoints that we can address. Either it is mobile phones, desktop browsers, OTT media devices, smart TVs, infotainment units, and a wide variety of use cases, including audio and video user experience testing. With this partnership, we have developed a deep integration between Tricentis, HeadSpin, and Wipro to deliver value to our clients. HeadSpin augments seamless Tosca with cloud endpoint experience. Tosca's mobile-based automation testing, as Eric was calling out, that can now be extended using HeadSpin on a number of endpoints and applications. HeadSpin's test execution and data capture capabilities facilitates a wide variety of devices that can be deployed at the edge. And while the tests are run on the various endpoints, the various kind of devices that you want to run your applications on, it captures a lot of composite data on user experience. This data augments the test data that Tosca collects. This rich data provides you with valuable insights into experience monitoring, regression intelligence, also helps you do the root cause analysis into issues, enabling developers, testers, product managers, as well as the DevOps teams to deliver flawless multi-channel experiences across multiple endpoints. This integration provides an efficient, productive, and consistent testing experience across all applications, thus enabling you to cut down the time to market and cost of application development and testing. Now, the whole design philosophy behind HeadSpin has been to enable deep collaboration amongst various teams delivering digital experiences. So if you talk about traditional testing tools, when you execute a test, it'll tell you if the test passed or test failed. But what it doesn't do is two things. It doesn't give you a real world context of testing in real user conditions. So when you go into production, you see a whole bunch of issues. And the second is data. So classical testing will give you a pass or fail but no data. But HeadSpin can capture multiple data points for you, which is in fact now imperative to deliver flawless digital experiences. So things like human perception metrics, how is the app behaving, for example, in different network conditions? While we talk about the real user scenarios in which we use the applications, think about we constantly switch off or change our network in real conditions. We move from one location to another. So how do you keep a tab of all these various changes and ensure that the application doesn't break and it's always resilient, right? So HeadSpin helps you capture all of this data that creates insights and enables you to deliver continuous, flawless experiences. Using the data that HeadSpin captures, we are also able to provide ML-based insights. So our ML models continuously analyzes the test data and then makes recommendations in terms of what are the issues in the user journey. Using computer vision mechanisms, we analyze the user journeys and then we can identify issues out of it for you. So for example, if a human being would have listened to this video stream or listened to this audio, how will the person perceive? What will be the quality of experience? So we can identify these human perception-based issues and then also the stack-based issues using the derivative data, which covers the complete view. And that's a kind of an end-to-end view that HeadSpin enables you with, that is from application to device to edge to network and all of it. Right. So to summarize this collaborative solution that we have created, while we talk about different personas that can address and that can use the solution for, while we talk about product teams who can benchmark the experience on the product against its competitors using multiple KPI-based view, engineering teams who can left shift the whole testing and do a regression analysis, build over build comparison, also integrate it as part of their DevOps cycle. Testing team who can, of course, easily identify issues, quick issue reproduction, and triaging is enabled. Also talking about the SRE teams, the ops and SRE teams, they can set HeadSpin as a synthetic monitoring tool, and using this solution, they can run the tests in various locations, create alerts when issues come up or experience degrades. So imagine issues being fixed much before it's reported by the end users. Also, we talk about, there are use cases for the developer integrity teams or the trust and safety teams who can easily find out issues and ensure compliance and integrity using HeadSpin and the collaborative solution with Tricentis and Wipro. Moving on to the next slide. So what we have done is, in order to address the requirements and the various endpoints that I'm talking about, we have built a purpose. This is a purpose-built infrastructure that we have designed that gives you access to multiple bare metal devices running on real networks placed in multiple locations around the globe. And this is enabled using these two appliances. As you can see, we have a HeadSpin P box in which you can connect various kind of devices, either it's phones, tablets, OTT media devices, as well as an AV box solution, which enables testing on smart TVs, as well as validation of DRM protected content. Now, we have also implemented this solution for some of our customers. I have a success story to talk about. Moving to the next slide. So this is a success story with one of the leading US telecom companies. This large telecom service provider has retail stores across the US. They're using iPads to manage their customers and support queries. As iOS follows a continuous release model, this company requires its app to be tested at a similar pace for seamless functioning. The second challenge, which the client faced, is to ensure that its large distributed teams across US and India, they need to have access to same devices and network environments, which were required to test for uniform results in a collaborative working setup. Also, they were facing challenge with respect to their business, because since these applications are like business to employees, so the company has to test them with an MDM tool. And testing with MDM has been a challenge because MDM is deployed from a security policy management perspective and is bound by policies and firewalls. So considering the challenges, what we did is HeadSpin appliance, the HeadSpin P box was deployed, which is an on-premise deployment. It was done in their east and west gateways. This enabled them to test in both gateways using a single UI and dynamically creating testing teams for both manual and automated requirements. They also set up test labs, peripherals, payments, etc., for different retail scenarios where testers accessed an end user-like environment. We also set up a unique solution, which you call it as a blue finger infrastructure that was enabled without having to bypass MDM as a part of automated or manual cycle. It also created a private network within the enterprise telecom company's internal Wi-Fi network. Thus, their testers were able to test out from different locations, India, US, and they can have access to their devices and run tests to achieve centralized testing. So if we have to look at what we enable this particular client with, they were able to increase their testing velocity. And while we talk about the retail test cycle and the quality of experience, which is very much imperative, that is something that we were able to address. They were able to keep up with the latest versions of apps and device OS versions. They wanted to ensure that the application runs fine and the experience is fine on all the various kind of devices and endpoints, as well as achieve distributed workforce automation at scale. So this is one of the success stories, which is a good example of the solution that we are talking about here. I would love to we would love to show the solution in action, and I'll pass it on to my colleague Sudhir. Hey, Sudhir, I think you're speaking on mute.
Sorry, can you pause the demo? So thanks, Rajiv. At this point, we will take you through a demo wherein we showcase how a transaction, which is a hotel booking transaction, is done end to end on using a mobile application. So In this, we are running it in parallel. So we are demonstrating parallel execution across iOS and Android. One device is in Miami and other devices in New York. We will use the scriptless automation capability of Tricentis for this particular scripting. And we run the scripts on real devices that are hosted in Miami and New York on HeadSpin Cloud. We will also show you how failures are handled and how we do non-functional validation alongside functional validation. So we are running an end-to-end functional script, but behind the scenes, we are, as Rajiv mentioned about the composite data, we are collecting the data and then looking at that data to deliver more value to the engineering team, more inputs to the engineering team, so that they can actually reduce the mean time to detect a problem and also reduce the mean time to resolve a problem. So those two are very important. So we will also show you how we put these information on a visualization dashboard and how we can go into the details of a test in an interactive fashion. So now we will see the demo. I hope you all can see the screen and let's see how the demo happens. So as I told you, we are going to do a demo on a hotel booking app. What you see right now is the Tricentis IDE for this, and various steps in the script is shown on the left side, and we will get the test started right now. So the test is starting on both Android devices and iOS devices. You will soon see the screens on HeadSpin Cloud, as you see. So this is the HeadSpin Cloud, and right now you will see two real devices simultaneously on the screen, and both are going to launch Expedia application. And we will make a hotel booking in Miami. As you see, the script is traversing through multiple steps here, and this script, as I told you, is done using scriptless automation feature of Tricentis, which will auto-generate scripts which can execute on the real devices. So you have to enter details of location, dates, how many people. So the usual way of booking a room. And that steps are being executed one after the other in a designated hotel, and we have embedded a failure also into this test by incorrectly putting an object there which is not existing. So you will see that failure getting caught in the framework and come as an error message. So once the required details are given, we are trying to check out the room. The checkout might fail because we have given a credit card with wrong credentials, but the whole process will go through. So you see now we are entering the payment information on the left side. On the right side, it is following us. Looks like iOS is following the test. It's a slightly couple of steps behind. So we have entered all details that is required for this particular test, and we are going to complete the booking on the Android phone. So it is finding the objects. That is why the screen is going back and forth, because it is detecting the objects on the screen and doing the desired action on the screen. So right now we are going to complete the booking. So once so now we are confirming the booking. So it will have some issues because of the credit card, as I told you. And when it comes to the iOS, we have already given an incorrect payment information. So it shows that there is an issue in the payment information, and the booking did not go through. Now we will see what happened. So this is the functional flow, right? So ideally in a usual scenario, now we will update the test result as fail, reason as incorrect payment or payment information or invalid payment information, and the test just fails. But here we are going to look at more things from this test. What additional information can we give back to the developer at the end of this test? So here we have given a, so you see the report, it has got a failure, so that orange rectangles that you saw is indicating failures. So this is the report that you see in the Tricentis reporting tool. And we will also go look into the performance analysis. So you can see the screen as you see here, right? On the right side, you see the UI under test. Then in the middle, you see all these KPIs that we are capturing, like blurriness, blockiness, page content, screen changes, download speed. All those things are captured, as you rightly see. And on the left side, the AI engine is giving you some recommendations, like it is talking about low page content. It is talking about the slow launch of the app. Very important, right? If the app is taking more time to launch, probably this is something that the team has to look into. And here you will see up to packet level details of every transaction that is happening, every API call being made. You can see what exactly is happening on that particular instance, on the screen, behind the screens, what kind of packets are being exchanged, and you can see the request headers, and in the bottom right corner, you can see what kind of data is being sent back and forth, how much time it took, how much time it spent for waiting. All that it is up to the packet level details is available, which essentially helps a developer to quickly detect the problem, the root cause of the problem when we report a bug, because all this information can be shared with the developer by just sharing this URL, as you see here, right? This is the session URL. Developers can go through in detail about what exactly happened on the test, and how the test is impacted due to various aspects like slow API calls or slow app launch and things like that. So these are some of the recommendations also. And now we have created a dashboard of this particular test, wherein you can get into the details of every issue, like what we saw, and also the timeline view of this test, like how it was executed and every time what happened, and which are the slow API servers in this execution. You can drill down into that details and maybe go back to the team and say that, oh, this particular API is a little slow. Maybe the way it is provisioned is not the right, or it's not optimized yet. All this helps us enhance the value that we deliver from testing and the experience that the application is delivering to the end user. So at this point, you can go into the detail of the test. Again, this is the device on the AT&T network in New York, and the functional call line is being shown. So you can get into a finite point here and see what exactly happened at every instance. So look at the recommendations that is coming. Your application loading was taking more time, so that needs to be improved if the user experience has to be enhanced. So we are giving very detailed insights from a performance point of view or an experience point of view, but along with the functional test. So this helps us to ensure that even if your functionality is working, is it delivering the right experience to the user? And please remember, we are not doing this on production environment. We are doing this in engineering environment. So it is very easy for us to run a test quickly. Every time a build is ready, we can quickly run this test and get all these kind of information, including the performance and user experience part, and give it back to the engineering team so that they can they can fix or at least analyze and see if this is going to have a profound impact at the consumer's hands. If so, act on it much earlier and fix it before we do the monitoring on the production side. We can do the same thing on monitoring also. We actually do health check runs, routine health check runs on production environment also, to find out, has anything changed behind the scenes without our knowledge? And if so, that intelligence also comes back to the engineering team. But what we see right now here is the kind of test that we run in a engineering phase, where the app is getting built and new features are getting added. And this kind of a comprehensive analysis and inputs will come very handy for the engineering team to detect a problem and resolve a problem. So that is what we wanted to showcase with this demo here. So if I were to summarize what we showcased and we spoke all this while, our focus is to accelerate the releases while elevating the quality. So by engaging the codeless automation capabilities of Tricentis, we want to cut down on the time it takes to automate scenarios, because this definitely accelerates the automation phase. And as you know, omnichannel is a very common thing for any consumer facing applications, and we have support for omnichannel. We can run the same tests. We have the capability to run tests on browsers as well as native applications or hybrid applications. So based on our customers' portfolio of applications, we can leverage the capabilities that are relevant and can deliver omnichannel experience. So be it a browser application, be it a hybrid app, be it a native mobile application, we support it. And as you saw in the demo, using the deeper insights, which is coming much earlier in the development cycle, we are able to enhance the overall app experience and arrest any potential degradation for the app due to an incorrect implementation or a non-optimized service call that we are calling. And all this happens end-to-end on the device side. And as I repeatedly told you, because all the information, the logs, the recording, the detailed analysis of performance indexes, KPIs, the visualization dashboard that you have, since all of them are available for everybody involved, like a product owner or a developer or a tester or even the BA, it's just a link that we share, and all of us have information and same view into everything possible, including logs. The mean time to detect a problem and mean time to resolve a problem can be significantly reduced, and that is where we truly elevate the role of quality engineering in this new world. And of course, we leverage AI for a lot of these inputs, and it's the AI-based accelerators that are giving us that kind of threshold. And not the last but not the least, all this can be integrated into DevOps or CI/CD pipeline, so that the trigger of the test, the execution, everything happens by itself, and we can deploy the failure analysis bots to go through the regression suite and come up with reasons for failure by itself, because it's a supervised learning bot, and it knows the exact reasons for the failure, and it can even raise a ticket and put all the relevant information in that ticket for the developers to act faster all by itself. So this is what we are trying to demonstrate to you and bring to your attention on how we can accelerate release velocity while elevating the quality by leveraging the right set of tools and frameworks and approaches in testing mobile applications. We'll go to the next slide, Jyoti. So to summarize what we are doing, I have repeatedly told this, but I'm just summarizing it for you. We are the true power of this partnership is these things. Like, we can leverage the codeless automation from Tricentis. We enable parallel execution and on real devices across platforms, both Android and iOS, and even locations. Locations is very important when it comes to global rollouts. If your application is getting rolled out in multiple countries with different network conditions and all that, then testing it in multiple countries makes a big difference. Then, of course, we have the automation framework that we demonstrated here with its own set of features and value to further augment the automation tester with some features and help the automation process faster. One of the things that we did not demonstrate in this demo, but it is available, is the performance testing under stress conditions, because Tricentis NeoLoad can load the backend, and when the backend is very hot and stressed, using HeadSpin, we can see how the app experience is getting impacted by the load real time, right? So we did not use the NeoLoad component in this demo, but that is also one thing. And that is very important piece, actually, how backend load is going to impact user experience, because we can run the same test in different conditions and see how the app experience is changing. We can track all KPIs on the Grafana dashboard. You already saw it. And then, of course, we are leveraging the AI-powered platform for the app observability, which is actually shown. Like, we are capturing every KPI of our interest and plotting it on a visual dashboard, interactive dashboard. And this is made possible by the AI-powered platform of HeadSpin. And we are also using the Wipro's accelerators for testing, which are NLP-based bot for optimizing the test cases, the suite actually, and also the auto failure analysis bot that will trigger once the test is completed, looking into each test result, and if there is a failure, look into the reasons for failure and log a ticket based on what kind of failure it is. So this is the few salient points that I wanted to bring up in case you have not noticed in the demo. But these are the key takeaways from this partnership and the ecosystem that we are creating by integrating Tricentis, Wipro, and HeadSpin into a test environment for testing mobile applications. Next slide, Jyoti. So at this point, we would like to summarize this conversation, and we will open up for questions. So the key takeaways are end-to-end automation and at a faster velocity. So this is very important. We can develop end-to-end automation at a much faster pace, and then execute it on real devices across platforms. A seamless integration, as you saw here, we have integrated Tricentis, HeadSpin, then Wipro automation framework, and certain other open source components like Grafana dashboard. All that is being integrated, and some of them are very easy because API based integration to existing environments and frameworks. So this is like, you don't have to think whether this will work in your environment or not. We can easily integrate, seamlessly integrate into your environment and start leveraging. And if you have APM scripts that are already developed, it just runs as is on HeadSpin, and we can develop scripts using the codeless automation capability of Tricentis with very little effort and a very flat learning curve. You don't have to learn a lot to do that. And of course, it is CI/CD integrated with almost all popular CI/CD tools out there. And third one is the deep data and actionable insights, which is very important because that gives more value for the test that you run. When you run an end-to-end functional test, we are not just providing just a pass-fail report, but giving you more powerful insights about app experience, app performance. Is it delivering the desired user experience in all circumstances? All that comes from this particular capability, and it also gives you certain recommendations which developers can consider for further review and actions if needed. So that is how we would like to accelerate the releases while elevating the quality. At this point, we will open up for questions.
Thank you, Sudhir. With that, we'll now go into the Q&A section. So we'll start with the ones that came in during the session, but if you have any other questions, please send them over in the Q&A box or at the chat box at the bottom. So I'll first start with the ones that came in the chat box. Someone asked, does Tosca support test automation for Mac and Linux desktop applications?
So I can take that one. As any good technical answer goes, yes and no. So Tosca natively runs on Windows applications. Or a Windows operating system, and traditionally would, sit on Windows and automate Windows native applications. We do have an AI component called Vision AI that you can use to automate some of those native applications, and we can kind of explain what the architecture would look like in a follow-up email. Tosca on its roadmap is also moving to a SaaS-based platform. So eventually the answer to that question, may likely be yes when we're running in a SaaS-based platform. But right now, the traditional architecture, you would be installing Tosca on a Windows machine.
Thanks, Eric. And then the same person also asks, are the AI-enabled RCA solutions, et cetera, dependent on specific cloud services from AWS/Google Cloud or stacks like ELK, or are these completely independent?
Yeah, probably I can take that. So specifically talking about the AI capability, the data and insights, and all the ML model set that we discussed about, which can help you identify issues, do the root cause analysis. This is something which is, where we HeadSpin can do this analysis on the data, which gets captured from all the tests that you do. There are multiple models that we have built, which is independent of all of this deployment that we're talking about, and the data that is kept is part of the AWS, but that's more of the storage part that we are discussing about. It's independent of any other stacks or any other services that we're talking about here. This is one of our own. These are our own algorithms using which we analyze the data. We figure out that what are the issues in the user journey that you have executed, and then based on that, be able to identify the issues in those user journeys. Also, the system is also able to provide you recommendations in order to go ahead and fix those issues. So from an overall perspective, it becomes like it's like a self-enabled platform which can sort of enable you to quickly identify issues instead of debating about if it's an issue or not. You have all the details in one place, so you can instead focus on fixing the issues rather than even reproducing the issue or debating about the issue if even the issue exists or not.
Thank you, Rajiv. And then for our last question that came in through the chat box, someone asked, for enterprise apps that are already deployed, how do these solutions add value?
So as you know, apps are continuously updated and upgraded. So one version out there in the market doesn't mean that version is going to stay forever. And we have continuous releases coming for the same app to enhance it as well as to improvise it. We see it for all the apps that we use, right? Regular updates come. So for subsequent releases, definitely we can leverage these tools to deliver a much better app experience and even accelerate your release cycles for subsequent releases.
Yeah, and another point to add on that is, a lot of times you may not be making changes to applications, but you may be building new applications that need to interact with those older applications that you haven't made changes to. So the integration points still become important to test. Right, and we can get into some other parts of Tosca. We have service virtualization and things like that to kind of allow the integration testing to be further accelerated. But generally, very rarely with our customer base do we find applications that just live in a silo and there's either no changes that are happening to them, or there's not other applications that are touching that application in some way that integration point needs to be tested.
Thanks both. Now we'll go to questions that came through the Q&A box. So the first one is, can we integrate this automation with CI/CD pipeline? With our CI/CD pipeline?
Absolutely. So we have a Tosca CI client that can work with really any CI/CD tool. We also have plugins for some specific ones like Jenkins. So we can definitely do that from an automated perspective and have that kick off your tests to run either locally or run against HeadSpin.
Thank you, Eric. And then the second question is, do we need to do any instrumentation to our apps to get this data?
Great question. No, you do not, which is a huge selling point, right? So you can focus on, native applications for iOS and Android, hybrid applications, web applications, for both platforms. And at no time is it going to require instrumentation of your application for Tosca to work from an automated perspective. And then Rajiv, I'll have you answer from the HeadSpin side if you guys have any additional requirements around that.
Absolutely, Eric. And that's exactly why the solution complements well over here, because even from a device perspective, even from the standpoint of executing on different kind of endpoints, you don't need to do any instrumentation to your applications. You don't need to put up any SDKs. In fact, the infrastructure that HeadSpin facilitates and as part of this solution is where these are like plain vanilla Android and iOS devices, right? As you find it on the market. So that's exactly the kind of a setup that the solution enables for you, where you have a real infrastructure, a real test environment on which you can execute your tests, capture the data without putting any additional effort.
And I can tell from the question that you've tried a lot of different mobile test automation solutions in the past. I come from a background of mobile testing, and it's traditionally been a very hard thing to do. So hard, in fact, that I think a lot of companies decide it's just easier to do it manually. And really that's the problem that we're trying to solve. And that's a problem with these solutions together that we can tackle. We can make it easy to do. We can make it accessible, and you don't need to have people that are technical geniuses to be able to accomplish it.
Thanks both. And then we have another question. Hello, everyone. Do we need to have access to the code base /APKs IPA for such a workflow shown in a demo, or would it be possible to automate apps from app stores?
So you can automate the applications from app stores. Generally iOS provides the biggest challenge around that. You need the bundle ID to kind of trigger that application to open. Android's much easier. But we do have customers that are testing applications from the App Store for both iOS and Android.
And we don't need code access in most of the cases, or rather, we don't need code access at all to do what we showed in the demo. The app we demonstrated is an app that we downloaded from the App Store, and we just automated the scenarios. So we have no access to source code of that application either.
Thank you. And then another question that came in, the Salesforce app on iOS works smoothly on HeadSpin platform. Have cloud provider faced issues with Salesforce app cloud service devices?
Yeah, I can take that. Yes, we have in fact enabled testing for Salesforce applications for a good number of customers, where we talk about the native applications, native Salesforce applications, which are being tested out. And while we test it out on different kind of devices, one of the key aspects, and this is a good example from one of the leading insurance companies that we work with, where they implemented Salesforce as one of the enterprise across their enterprise, and they wanted to really test out the experience of that application for their agents which are using this application. And that's exactly where HeadSpin was leveraged to test out on Android and iOS devices, where they were executing their tests and then capturing the data, which was not only used to identify it from a end user experience perspective, and the latency KPIs and all of that was captured, but they were also able to, of course, validate all the functionalities and the different user journeys, which was relevant for the agents which are there on the field, right? So yes, this is something which is feasible.
Thanks, Rajiv. And then our final 2 more questions. Are we using iOS automation on Windows? Remote access is granted via RDP.
Yeah, so Tosca can connect to iOS devices from a Windows machine. There's a couple of different architectures that you can use to do that. We have an agent that you can run on Windows to make the connection to an iOS device. You can also access through Appium. So if you had an Appium server sitting on a Mac machine and had an iOS device plugged into that, you can connect to that device from a Windows machine. So kind of both architectures are possible. If you walked into HeadSpin's data center or anything like that, basically those devices are all hitting an Appium server somewhere that Tosca is sitting on a Windows machine or wherever it is connecting to that Appium server. So depending on what kind of architecture you're trying to set up, we'll be able to support it.
Thanks, Eric. And then our final question for today, do you also deal with testing the website in different non-popular internet browsers as well?
So the non-popular browsers, I mean, I'm guessing, we're talking about like, Edge or maybe old versions of IE or things of that nature. We do support that from a Tosca perspective. So we have support across, many different browsers. If there's other, smaller browsers that are, using different packages from Chrome or things like that, we can also support those. We support automating browsers in 2 different ways. You can support automating browsers through our X browser agent, which supports a ton of browsers out of the box, or also we can support WebDriver. So really, I would like to say that the answer is yes, but it's hard to say when it's non-popular browsers. I haven't tried on every single browser.
Thanks, Eric. And thank you everyone for your questions. If you do come up with questions later on, feel free to reach out to today's presenters at the emails on this slide. We'll also be sharing today's recording by email. And I just want to thank the presenters and thank you all for your time today. We hope you found this webinar helpful and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.